Hi children, it's your boy Perfection back again with another video. Do you remember the last time I was here? I was teaching y'all about songs of praise, and some of them that may have been pagan songs. If I asked you now, whose hands was the world in, y'all should know. Y'all shouldn't be confused. But guess what? We're back with another story. A story that y'all children have to listen to, because it's a lesson that needs to be learned. So sit down, gather round, and heed the lesson that I'm about to tell y'all. It's called Tales from the Karma Cloud. Karma Cloud. Karma Cloud. What's up, people? It's your boy Perfection back again with another freaking video. This one is called the Karma Cloud. It is a very important video. I sat down the other day with a friend of mine and or a family member, and we sat down and we said, whoa, there's been, since this corona business has started, there's been a hell of a lot of things that have been happening. Okay, horrible things that have happened to certain people. Obviously there's certain people that have been ill and then they've gone into hospitals, and then they've developed this corona thing and they've died from it. All kinds of devastating tragedies, and some of them I feel really sorry for. I really do. I do feel really sorry for them. There's been a lot of people that have died lonely and isolated, and it's not their fault. It's not. Because before I get into this whole story, I want people to understand this, is that I myself suffer from mental health, which you've heard me rant on about and things like that. But there's certain people out there going around saying to people, listen, the reason why people suffer from mental health is because they're plagued by demons, because of something their parents done in the past, and now they're suffering and this and that. And if your parents was a good person, your child wouldn't be suffering. They're also saying that the reason why certain, and they've gone as low as to say these things as well. One particular person I know actually said something like this, said the reason why certain kids may be handicapped and this and that is because of certain actions that their parents have done, and that's come to, they're reaping what they're sown now and this and that, which was quite amazing at the time actually, because even that person there, their children had a distaste for them. So that was like, really? But maybe that's how she came to terms with whatever issue she faced. But if you would have asked her at the time, she would have said no, she was a brilliant mother and she done the best that she could and this and that. But what I'm trying to say is that those people out there telling people that the reason why they're innocently suffering is because of what their parents have done or their grandparents have done, I think it's wrong. Okay. But funny enough, it does tie into the Karma Cloud. So let's get started. So I believe personally that there's a cloud that moves over people's houses, almost like the lottery. And it can come at any time in your life, really. And the Bible says you reap what you sow. Those who live by the sword shall die by the sword. And I think that generally, when it arrives at your house, if you've dished out a hell of a lot of pain and suffering to people, then it's likely to come back at you. Okay, but again, like I said before, it comes back at you. I don't believe it gets passed on to your kids and all that kind of stuff. I've never believed that. That's never been, because I've mentioned this karma thing a few times. I've mentioned it on Facebook and things like that. And at the time then, I think some people may have read my Facebook comment and took it personally, like, oh look, is this aiming this at me, yeah, about karma? So what have I done? Yeah, so why has this happened in my life, and blah blah blah, and have taken it personally. I can't help that. I mean, I can't be held responsible for that. If you believe I've said something on Facebook or even in one of my videos, then and you believe it's aimed at you, then come chat to me. I'm here. So I'm trying to say, I ain't going nowhere. So I'm trying to say, some people believe this aimed at them. But getting back to what I was saying, okay. Yes, when it eventually comes over your house, if you've done a hell of a lot of bad things, then it's most likely going to come for you. Okay. Some people I think knowing, some people know sometimes that it's coming for them. So what they'll generally do is they'll run outside of their house and they'll try to jump. They're not going to jump into anyone's house. They're not going to jump into someone's house that's evil as well. Because it's almost, think of it almost like a hostage situation, okay? Think of it that karma's coming for you, which is the police, okay? But I don't really want to use the police, because the police aren't saints and they're not good people, and I'm going to do a video based upon that. I already have done, really, and that was called Monkey See, Monkey Do. The police, just because they're in police uniforms, aren't good people. But let's use that analogy, okay? It's a hostage situation. A bad guy's jumped into, the police are coming for a bad guy. He's run out of his house now. He's not going to jump into another bad guy's house, because the police are going to shoot up the whole house and kill all of them in it. The first house he's going to go to is someone that's really good. He's going to go to a house of innocent women and children, because he knows that the police, isn't going to shoot up a house of innocent kids in it. And that's how the karma cloud works. Generally, from what I've seen in my life, is that when there's really bad people, and they know the karma cloud is coming for them, they'll run into an innocent person's house, and they're not afraid. That they'll say, if you're like the hostage situation, they're gonna say, right, if you're gonna kill me, you kill everyone, you kill the innocent women and kids in there too. You know what I mean? That's the kind of mentality. And I have been around people generally with that mentality. I'll take down the whole house. If I'm going down, the whole house is coming down. But as Capleton said, if you look to type in Wings of the Morning, you can't escape your judgment. You can't. When the karma cloud comes, you can't escape it. You might be able to escape it for those few. You may run to your neighbor's house 1 or 2 times, but it will get you. It will get you. There'll be a day where you may run outside your house when the karma cloud is there, and you go to run into the innocent neighbor's house, but no one's in their house. There is no place for you to run to. They're gone. There is no good people in that area for you to run behind and use as a hostage. The karma cloud is coming for you. And what I'm saying to you is that I've seen some devastating things over the last year or so, especially with this corona thing. Some of it has been a tragedy, like I said in the beginning, and others it hasn't been. It's been things that I remember them outrightly saying, judging a person, saying, like I said to people about the smoking. I said in the beginning that I used to knock cigarettes at people's mouths, and I used to take. I can't say I used to bully people that were smoking. I can't really say I used to bully them. But I remember, like, you're disgusting for smoking and this and that. I was very judgmental. And then one day, I'm waking up with a cigarette in my mouth. It's kind of like that, okay? Where was I going with this? Yeah, so I've seen some really kind of devastating things happen. And one bit of advice I want to give to people, if someone said to me, listen, Luke, well, how do I avoid this whole karma cloud? You avoid it by imagining, because some people live their lives like no one's watching. You should always think to yourself, always imagine that the Lord is watching you. There's sometimes you can't get away with things. You're swearing, or you're desperate, so you pick up a cigarette and you smoke it. There's some things you can't really get away with. But guess what? We're not all perfect. We're not all perfect, and I admit it. We're not all perfect. All we can do is kind of admit that we made a mistake. And then wake up the next day and say, right, what can I do to make yesterday better? Because yesterday I did some horrific thing. What can I do to make it better? How you get around the whole karma cloud is that regardless of how bad you've done, if you've done a hell of a lot of bad, you want to balance that up with doing a hell of a lot of good. So if the karma cloud does come around for you, it can either see that you're trying, or it can see that it's weighed up. It can say, right, it's weighed up. It's weighed up. Okay, I can't really do anything to this man because it's leveled. It's leveled. But if you've been dishing it out, then the best thing to do really is to find those people that you've been hurting and apologize to them. Tell them you're sorry. Tell them you're sorry and mean it. There's no point in telling people you're sorry if you're likely to do the same thing again. Because if anything, that's probably making the situation even worse. That's almost like laughing in someone's face or throwing it in their face. Oh, sorry about that, I'm deeply sorry. But then the next day you're kind of at it again. So you have to say these things and genuinely mean it. Okay? And And if you find yourself falling into the same pattern again, then maybe open up your Bible and ask the Lord for a little bit of help. Lord, help me. I keep hurting people in the same way. They keep asking me to they keep saying they forgive me and everything else, but I keep kind of hurting them in the same way, and I don't know what's going on myself. Why am I doing these things, Lord? I don't understand it. Don't be afraid to ask the Lord for forgiveness. Okay. What I want to say to you is this as well, is that you've got to understand that some people may not forgive you. You may have done something that is really, really, hurtful, spiteful, viciously, um, something unforgivable, and you got to understand that all you can do is give the utmost sincere apology. That's all you can do. It's up to them to then decide whether they choose to forgive you or not. And to be honest with you, it's always in their best interest to forgive you, because at the end of the day, in order to be forgiven, you yourself must learn to forgive. So that's something that they have to deal with. Once you've apologized, gave a sincere apology and mean it, it's up to them. If they choose not to forgive you, then you can just hold your hands up high and say, well, I'm sorry, I've done the best that I can do, and walk away from it. That's all you can do. My advice to some people out there that can't, don't try to force someone to forgive you and things like that. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. All you're doing is you're digging yourself a deeper hole, if anything. Okay? Say sorry about what you've done, leave it at that. From that point on there, let the Lord do his works, his stuff. Leave them in the presence of the Lord, because they have to understand that when they walk around with this kind of hatred for you or for anyone else, it's only ruining their lives. It's only eating them from the inside out. So they have to learn to forgive you. Yeah, but they don't have to suddenly, and it's important that I say this to people, just because someone forgives you doesn't necessarily mean they have to open up their front door to you, because that's more of a narcissistic thing anyway. If you think that someone needs to forgive you and then starts to suddenly let you back in their house around their family or this or that again, that's it's not about that. It's about them truthfully forgiving you and saying, what, no longer will I hold this kind of resentment towards you. Fair enough. But I don't want to risk taking a second chance, a third chance with you, or fourth chance with you. We've been there too many times now, and it's up for you to accept that. Okay, this is what the whole karma cloud thing is about. What else would I say to you? Okay, that I haven't already said. I believe that I don't believe that it's atheists versus people that go to the church or anything like that. They did a survey supposedly ages ago, and they said atheists give a lot more than what than what religious people do. I don't know whether they do, but apparently this is what the survey said. They're most likely to give more to charity. There are some people that go to the church that can be quite stingy with their money and things like that. I don't know about that. So, for atheists, you've got to look at it from a different perspective, and that perspective is that when you go around hurting people and doing people over, so take religion out of it, it's no different really than I was watching this police program the other day, and this guy, because this woman rejected him, her brothers then came and grabbed this guy and threw him out of the house, and then he ran to some hotel about 4 or 5 miles away, drove there, and he left his passport there. So he rang this girl up after her brothers have left, and he said, look, can you bring back the passport for me? Okay. She's gone to the hotel, which is stupid of her anyway, with the passport. And then obviously he's been drinking now, this guy, drinking out of his mind, and he kind of forcefully, or kind of he kind of what's the word, he kind of manipulates her in an aggressive way into following him into some sort of casino. They're seen in the casino. He then goes back to the hotel with her and strangles her and kills her. Okay. He then flies off to, I think it was Thailand he flies off to. But guilt is the word that I'm coming out with. He's then ringing up the police in the UK and he's saying, I've left this body there in the UK. I didn't kill her there, but there's a body in this room, blah, blah, blah. And they're trying to track him and trace him down. He then continuously rings the police and he kind of taunts them. So he's playing this cat and mouse game with them. But the reason why he's doing it is because if you take the whole karma cloud out of it, you're still holding on to a lot of things. You're holding on to a lot of things. You're building up this kind of when I say it's tearing you from the inside out, that's generally how it is. So even from an atheist position, even from an atheist standpoint, where you don't believe in the Bible, you have to believe that. Because with this guy, when they caught him, they said it was such a relief. Like he felt like a whole weight had been lifted off his shoulders. There's nothing worse than when you're walking around carrying all of that. It's a lot of guilt to carry when you're walking around. And you know you've done these sort of things to people, and generally what happens is there's certain people that they get to their 60s and their 70s and they've got all kinds of medical issues going on with them from where they've carried all of these things. This is why I say it kind of eats you alive. It's best to kind of get those things off of your chest as well. But it's not an atheist versus church people, because there's people in the church, like I said in the very beginning, that are walking around telling people that the reason why their son's sick or the reason why they suffer mental health is that because something that their parents have done in the past and this and that kind of stuff, which is nonsense. When I was younger, before I end this, I used to walk around being quite nasty in my teens. I did all kinds of things that were wrong and evil. And I used to, even then I knew about the karma cloud, and I was like, you know what, karma's going to come, it's going to get me now, and I'm going to have to pay for a lot of things that I did. What I didn't realize is karma had already came. Okay, I suffered quite a traumatic childhood, and that was the cause of why I was doing a lot of those horrible things. But it's acknowledging, even if you were that kind of person, almost like a reformed gangster or whatever, it's about acknowledging where you've gone wrong. And kind of, you know, saying, right, what do I do to change this? What do I do to become a better person? I think even if the karma cloud has arrived and it realizes that you've found yourself, you've looked inside of yourself and said, what can I do to change these things? Then that will kind of spare the burden. But the last thing I'll say to people is this, you know, is that just be very careful. Be very careful. Because the karma cloud is almost like Big Brother, you know. In the UK here, there's cameras all over the place now. You can't walk outside your door without some sort of camera picking you up. It's almost like that, okay? Soon it will be to a point where, you know, you won't even be able to say anything inside of your house without some sort of device being planted or whatever. But that's exactly how the karma cloud is, okay? So just be very careful what you say, even if it's under your breath. When you're judging people, be very careful, because life has a very nasty way of coming back to bite you on the ass, you know, in a very aggressive way. I've seen it, and it's devastating. For me, I'm scared to say certain things. I'm scared to judge that person there or judge that person there, or, you know, judge a man on how he's raising his children, or judge a woman how he's raising her children, or choose one side or the other. Unless I have the raw facts, I'm very scared, because I've seen what it's done. But anyway, guys, that's it. I'm gonna leave Capleton soundtrack "Wings of the Morning" in the description. Listen to it, because it's a very good song to remind you sometimes if you're falling off that track. Okay. Anyway, thanks for listening to my video. Have a good day. I love you all. Peace.